Hi, I'm Prime Geronimo, and today I will be deploying the Flemecoin contract to Flare Network's public blockchain. Flemecoin is a meme coin that I began creating over a year ago with the intention of creating as community safe and risk averse a meme coin as possible. And to that end, I wanted to have a video of me compiling and deploying that contract to the network. So what I'll do here is overview what I'm looking at and review the contract and then compile it and deploy it and talk about a few steps along the way. So let's get started. So what you see here in the middle of the screen, top to bottom, is the full contract. Once this is deployed to the network, it will be in clear text. You'll be able to see the same code line for line on the public blockchain. Because of that, I won't go over it in full detail, but I do want to touch on a few major components. We have the 3 wallets that are used in the deployment of the contract. They will receive the initial funds, and launch wallet will be set to be the owner of the contract initially. So you can see that right here. The contract is ownable and it's set to launch wallet. The other thing that's really important is a function that is called the function that is created later called enable trading. I'll just show it to you down here. Enable trading, this function right here. At the front end of the contract, a flag is created called trading enabled, and it is set to default false. When trading enabled, the function is called later, that will be set to true, and trading will become enabled. While trading is enabled by default at the launch of the contract, no trading can occur. I will have the liquidity pool created, the funds will all exist, it will be live on the network, but if you were to try to trade the token, you would get an error. You would not lose any funds, there would be no loss of any value, but the trade would not go through. And it will not go through until I call enable trading. The reason I'm doing that is important. One of the risks of any token project is something called sniping, where threat actors will monitor the network for newly created tokens, but more importantly, newly created liquidity pools. And if they see one that meets certain criteria that they like, they will attempt to be the first purchaser, because the first purchaser will get the most tokens for the lowest amount of value or cost. And so by doing so, if they can snipe in and be that first purchaser, they'll buy a large amount, and then when the public does begin to purchase, they'll dump it on the public for a quick profit. By creating a broadly advertised, which I'll do via X, launch day and time, the full public will have an equal playing field and the same fair shot at being that first purchaser. And that thereby removes the potential of any would-be sniper to be that first purchaser. There's no way that they could ever expect to be the first purchaser if the fullness of the public is aware of the launch day and time. So that's the reason you'll see this language about trading enabled. The other thing that's really important about this to understand is there is no trading disabled function, and you can go through the contract and see that. So trading is set to false by default. There's a function to enable it and set it to true, but then there is no ability to disable trading. The reason I mention that is that's one of the techniques used in a rugged project where they'll disable trading, and then once the public can no longer trade, they'll do whatever they need to do to rug the contract at that point. There's no ability to disable trading. Okay, so moving on. There's 1 billion tokens. This constructor basically says, hey, when you deploy the contract, you need to provide addresses for those 3 wallets. That makes sense. It needs to know where to send those funds. Some sanity checks. Here you can see the name of the token is established, the ticker, and the owner of the contract is set to launch wallet. Launch wallet, by the way, is right here. A little bit of flair in there in order to do administrative stuff. Some sanity checks, and then you have the amount of tokens that will be deployed to the 3 wallets. 870 million will be given to the launch wallet. All of that 870 million will be provided to the liquidity pool. The liquidity pool will be created with 870 million Fleme tokens, as well as a large amount of Flare to create that liquidity pool. That's coming out of my pocket. I'll provide it, but then importantly, it will be locked by the exchange and out of my hands. I'll have no access to it. It'll be launched on SparkDex, and they provide a means to lock the liquidity pool. And by doing so, that major rug technique is also removed, where nobody can pull the liquidity pool and drain it or sell the tokens per se. I'll have no access to it. So all of those 870 million tokens go to the launch wallet that then go to the liquidity pool and that are then locked. 100 million tokens, or 10%, is provided to the marketing wallet. In short terms, a marketing fund is necessary for any successful project long term. If you want to be able to grow in the ecosystem that you're in, to be able to fund larger exchanges as you grow, and to be able to fund a variety of marketing efforts for visibility and growth, you need access to marketing funds. Without it, you really have no hope of growing. So we needed a larger marketing fund, but I've provided risk mitigation there as well. Both the marketing wallet, all 100 million tokens of those, as well as the dev wallet, the 30 million, will be escrowed via third-party Team Finance. Team Finance is a third-party provider that creates escrows. It will be escrowed with a time release monthly unlock, and that allows access to those marketing funds over a stretch of a period of time without having all of those funds available at one time. That reduces the risk of misuse, but also, more importantly, of a quick sale to rug the token as well. I'll get into that whole approach elsewhere. It's on the website as well, and I'll create a video of that escrow being created, but we're not going to do that here. But just to let you know, the marketing wallet and dev wallet will be in escrow via Team Finance. Here's the trading enable function that we talked about. This here is really what that is that is a whitelisting of those three wallets. It basically says when trading is not enabled, when trading is disabled, those three wallets can still trade. The reason that's important is because if trading is disabled and they're not able to trade, I would not be able to fund the liquidity pool because I have to transfer those tokens to the liquidity pool, and I would not be able to fund the escrows. That needs to be done before trading is enabled. So they're given a pass, a whitelist to transfer tokens in order to create those concepts. Then lastly, you have some standard language to pull in necessary definitions, and then you have this renounce ownership. A lot of people are going to be familiar with, a contract being revoked, or you've heard that terminology. Is the contract revoked or renounced? This one will be, and what that really does is once that function is called, it'll be the last thing that happens. After trading is enabled, I will then call renounce ownership. What that does is it removes the ownership of the launch wallet. There will be no owner of the contract once that function is called. It is a final step of assurances to ensure that nobody can ever call another function of the contract again, no changes can be made, and so on. It's technically unnecessary given this contract because there's nothing in the contract that would provide any concerns there, and there's nothing to provide any ability to change the contract. But for all assurances, renounce ownership is there to renounce the contract. Okay, there we go. So that's the full contract. Like I said, you'll be able to read this on the blockchain. But now we're going to compile it and deploy it. So let's do that. So I'm going to go to the compiler. I need to set some basic settings because we're on Flare Network. We're going to use the latest compiler, which is 830. I need to set this to Shanghai for Flare Network, so I'm going to set optimization to the yes to default 200, and that is really it. So I'm going to hit compile and get a little green check mark. We're done. So the compilation details, this is a bit important because the data here is what will be used in order to validate and make legible the contract code on the blockchain. So I need to paste this in here to a file that I'm going to save and use. So that is the compiler info. I'll use that in a minute. And then I also need the ABI, and I'm going to grab that, paste it into this file, save that as well. Okay, that's done. So now we're done. At this point, I'm going to deploy the contract. Big moment. So Flemecoin is going to become a full legitimate token on the blockchain once we deploy here. Make sure, quick sanity check, everything is good to go. Good to go. I need to make sure, we need to set this to my wallet, so we're going to do it via my wallet. And so 2716 is the launch wallet, 2716, okay? And let's see, so you can see here, it's asking for the addresses of those 3 wallets. You saw that in the code. So I have those ready to go. Launch notes here. The launch wallet, populate that. The marketing wallet, populate that. Dev wallet. These wallets will all be on the website, and you'll be able to see those elsewhere. So no need to worry about them. Like I said, you'll see them on the website, but you also see them in the contract online. So that's done. I think we're all done, ready to go. All right. The big transact button, that's the big button. So here we go. We'll be able to watch down here this console, and it'll kind of tell us how things go. Deploy. Creating. Oh, it gave me a pop-up on my launch wallet. No surprise there. Are you willing to pay the near zero Flare? One of the reasons I'm hosting on Flare or launching on Flare, Flare is just next gen. It is faster, it is more efficient, it is super cheap to operate on and to use, and it has all the benefits of all the major ecosystems. It runs on the Ethereum EVM code, so it's default language, default code used for all of its contracts, but it has the benefits of being a super fast, super cheap network. So anyway, I'm going to confirm this, and here we go. So confirm, creation of Flemecoin pending. There it is. It's done. It's done. Okay. So that said, I'm going to do the last thing here, which will be the end of this video, I think, and I'm going to verify the contract, which makes it legible. So very briefly, let me show you something. I'm on the Flare Explorer. This is the public blockchain for Flare Network, so flare-explorer.flare.network. I'm going to go to tokens here, and I'm going to show you a token that is not verified. So I'm going to go to FINU here, top token holder, and I'm going to go to contract. And if you look at the contract, you can see it's effectively just bytecode. You can't read any of that. It's not legible. So we're going to make our contract legible. So to do that, I need to provide it some basic stuff. I need the contract address, which is this one. Pop that in there. Excuse me, I'm over here. Oh, MIT. So the contract license is MIT. There it is, the contract address. Sorry, I'm in dark mode. There's the contract address, and we're going to do it via a JSON input, which is that file I saved off. The compiler is 830, and then I provide the very same file that I created earlier, or saved earlier, which is this one right here. So we hit OK, and then we hit verify and publish. Success, it's done. Hey, Flemecoin. So Flemecoin is online and live, and now you can see the contract here. So we're on the same page that I was showing you with the other token, but you can now see line by line the very same code that was in Remix, which is the this is Remix, which is a web-based app, a very common, well-known app used for the deployment or the development and deployment of contracts. The same code is here. So there we go. Flemecoin is now live. I'll make a separate video for the funding of the maybe the liquidity pool as well, but the liquidity pool and the escrows. So thank you for joining me. This is Big Step. Let's go.